Hi everyone, my name is Brittany Shaw. I'm the Senior Global Brand Engagement Manager here at Amazon.
And I'm Benjamin Okeke, Senior Corporate Counsel here at Amazon.
It's our pleasure to welcome you here today. So first, before we get started, for those of you who are enrolled in Brand Registry, would you please raise your hands? Great, that's wonderful. Now, don't put those hands down yet, put them back up. If you are enrolled in Brand Registry with a registered trademark, please keep them up. Wonderful. Thank you so much. That gives us a great sense of a starting place of where we are today.
We are incredibly excited to guide you through the ways that Brand Registry unlocks powerful protection and growth opportunities for your businesses. In the next 30 minutes, we'll explore how Brand Registry unlocks these powerful tools to grow your brand and protect your intellectual property, or what we call IP in Amazon Store. First, we'll focus on establishing your brand by enrolling in Brand Registry. We'll explain what Brand Registry is and its benefits. We'll share tips to simplify the enrollment process and show you how to set up your roles effectively. All of these are crucial elements for building a strong foundation. Next, how we help you protect by showing you how we help you protect your brand, we'll talk about our proactive measures, our automated protections. We'll show you how to use our report a violation tool and introduce some advanced topics like Project Zero and transparency. And then finally, we'll explore the tools that help you grow your brand. You'll learn about such programs as A+ content, brand analytics, and other features that will help build your presence in our store.
Now, before we jump into all of that, because that's a lot to cover in 30 minutes, we want to acknowledge something really important. And that is that you have poured your creativity, your passion, your time, your resources into creating your brand presence. You've invested not just your money, right, but you've really put your hard work into defining your brand presence in our stores. So that's really why we've created Brand Registry. We want to make sure that your brand is not only represented the way you want it to be represented, but it's also protected so that others don't glom off of to your great brand integrity work that you've poured this effort into. So as we get started today, we're really going to go through Brand Registry a lot. You're going to hear that term about 30 times, so buckle in. But we're going to also just give you those brand building benefits to see how it interplays and really is that foundation of how you get started as a seller and how to use it for developing and established brands in our store. So again, Brand Registry is that starting point, right? And I think one thing to remember is that not only is Brand Registry a place where you tell us what intellectual property rights you own. So again, intellectual property rights or IP is your trademark, your copyright, your patents, otherwise known as your ownership of your name, your image, your symbols, all those things that make up your brand identity. But it's also your starting point to tell us who's in your selling network. And so it's important regardless if you're doing it for a protection strategy or a growth strategy. From day one, we get to work in Brand Registry, protecting your brand, and we'll show you how that works in just a moment. So as we talked about with the intellectual property, right, there's two things I want to make sure we break down for you. There's a pending trademark and a pending registration and fully registered registration. Now, it doesn't matter what status this is in, your IP is in, we still protect it, but there are some key differences to note. So the pending trademarks that you see on the blue side here, you do have a full baseline of automated protections that starts as soon as you enroll. Those things include, we go out and we look at the catalog for your trademark in text and the images that you've told us about. Now, it does kick in a little bit more advanced when we get into registered trademarks, right? Registered trademarks are really what accesses advanced programs like Project Zero and Transparency, which we'll go over. But it also gives you different brand building tools, right? It gives you access to that A+ content, the brand analytics, the report a violation tool, automated protections, and just a broader suite of tools at your fingertips for growth and protection. I will note that there are some separate enrollment processes or eligibility requirements for those advanced protections, but please know that enrolling in Brand Registry is free. That's a common misperception that you have to pay something extra. It is free, and it's the starting place of your journey.
Before we go too far, Brittany, I want to talk to you and the audience about a common and avoidable mistake. We often see brands enroll only a single or their primary trademark in brand registry. And so you got to consider this. If you only enroll your single trademark or your company name, we're going to build our protections around that, which could leave considerable gaps. And so even if you're a smaller brand and you're growing, looking to grow, or you're an established brand with a broad product line, it's likely that you have several elements that should be protected. That could be slogans or logos, product names, or distinctive product packaging. And even there, those might need distinct protections between different geographies and stores. So that's really one other important thing there that I just mentioned. If you're thinking about selling globally, it's important that your IP strategy also be global. So think of it like this. Each additional piece of IP that you enroll in brand registry, it strengthens our ability to proactively protect your brand at scale comprehensively. Remember, our systems can only protect what they know about. And so think of each additional enrolled piece of IP, whether it's a trademark, copyright, patent, as adding additional layers of protection for your brand, additional armor. So let's dive a little deeper into your IP. It is important that you know your IP portfolio inside and out. And really what I mean by that is that you know what you have protected and where you have it protected. As I mentioned, brand registry uses IP records as our source of truth. And so it's also important to make sure that your enrollment information matches what's in your IP registrations, particularly the ownership information and the textual representation of your mark. Second is your email address, how we communicate with you. It is incredibly important that this be consistent across all of our programs. And so by that, I mean what I like to call one email to rule them all. That means the same email used for your Seller Central account, your brand registry account, and if you choose to use it, IP Accelerator. You should use the same email for that too. So what does that do for you? What benefit do you get by using that same email? Well, it streamlines our enrollment process. It means that we have to come back to you less to verify your ownership. And it helps you avoid troubleshooting down the line that stalls you from doing what you should be paying attention to, which is growing your brand versus dealing with these administrative tasks. And then third thing I want to kind of give you some advice on is upfront. Provide us with clear, real-life product images. And it should show your brand name or your logo or the piece of IP that you're looking to protect. And does that mean it needs to be the same thing you're going to use on your product detail page ultimately? No. Are we asking you to go out and get a professional photo shoot? Absolutely not. What we're really looking for are your images of your product that are clear, that show it from different angles, and that we can use to make sure and validate that what's in your trademark application is what's being sold in our store. One other thing I'd like to point out with that is please avoid using CGI. And as much as we all love Gen AI and it's helping us right now, please don't use Gen AI. Real old school pictures, that's what we're looking for. In the end, consistency and clarity, it'll help us do our jobs in protecting you a lot easier, and it keeps you protected. And so these steps, though they seem like small things, they're crucial to a smooth enrollment process. And what that does is it creates a strong brand protection foundation for you to begin building on from the start.
Yep.
So now that you're in brand registry, you've enrolled, we've gone through a streamlined, very easy, straightforward enrollment process. What do you do? Well, I'd like to introduce our redesigned homepage. Based on the valuable feedback, your valuable feedback at events like Accelerate and extensive research and testing, we've redesigned the entire homepage to provide greater transparency into what we are doing, the actions that we take to protect your brand. So one thing I want to point out about the homepage is that the features adapt to your role. What that means is it will adjust to show you relevant information based upon the role you have in the business and what you need to accomplish. And so from there, you can see an overview of vital, pertinent, relevant brand information and infringement statistics. At a glance, you can quickly review your account data and stay up to date with notifications about actions that you need to take. You can easily navigate to all the other features and tools in Brand Registry directly from the homepage. And so, speaking of roles, one thing that I want to do before we close this day out is make sure you're set up for success there. Roles are a crucial piece of your brand experience in our store. One of the most crucial topics is role management. Understanding roles is essential to ensuring the appropriate access for all the folks that help you build your brand. Your entire brand registry experience can be impacted by improper role assignment. Accessing the protections and selling benefits, using the brand building tools, it all depends on the right roles being assigned. And so there are two distinct role types. There are protection roles and there are selling roles. So let's talk about that. Selling roles. Oh, go ahead.
I'm cutting him off. Sorry. I'm like ready to talk about these roles. Protection roles, I get so excited. Protection roles, there are three types to know, right? There's the administrator role, and that's not something you have to go self-assign. You're assigned the administrator as soon as you enroll in Brand Registry. Now, the administrator role comes with a lot of responsibility and power, right? You are the one, as the administrator, who can set up the user access roles for your entire brand presence. This means those roles that we'll talk about in a moment with selling roles are done by the administrator. The protection roles are controlled by the administrator. So this role is one to very much pay attention to and make sure the right person is accessing that role. The second one is a rights owner role. Now the rights owner role can be given to employees of your company, but it's going to be those employees that you trust to take accurate notice of infringement actions based on potential concerns that you may see of infringements against your IP. Right, so these rights owners do not have control like the administrator does over establishing role access, but they can submit notices of infringement on your behalf and act as a rights owner. Now the third role to pay attention to is the registered agent role. These are not employees of your company, right, but these are trusted third parties that you may have contracted with to again take those notice of infringement actions on your behalf. And so we want to make sure that that's very clear, right? The admin and rights owner, employees, registered agent is that third party that you trust to act as your registered agent to enforce your IP.
I want to emphasize two best practices that Brittany just mentioned. First of which, be extremely thoughtful about assigning the administrator role. Remember, an administrator can add, remove, or change access for protection of your brand. This provides them with significant power. And as we all know, with great power comes great responsibility.
Eye rolls.
Second, I advise everyone, assign two administrators, actually, at least two, because it's vital to helping you ensure that you maintain continuous access to your brand registry account. Think about this. What if someone loses or forgets the password? What if an employee transitions and leaves the company? What happens if you sell that part of your brand and the TM ownership moves along with it? What if an employee is just simply not available and he's speaking at Accelerate and can't get to his computer? you lose access to brand registry in times like those, potentially blocking your ability to take critical actions on your account, whether it be protection or growth. These are critical tools and protections that are unlocked by those selling rules. So having two administrators ensures that you will have that access.
Thanks, Ben. That's super crucial. I think the other role we want to talk about really is those selling roles, right? We just spent a lot of time on protection roles in the admin, but what are those selling roles?
Yeah.
Two to pay attention to this time. The brand representative role. Again, this is reserved for employees of your company, right? And you can see on the screen here that there is a full suite of growth tools available for those brand representatives. A+ content, Amazon attributes, right? Amazon Live, Vine, there's a lot here. Now the reseller role has a very limited tool access, but still the important ones, A+ content, brand stores, brand videos, all of that. And they really are your authorized sellers. They're the people that you've granted access to act on your behalf to resell or directly sell your brand in our stores.
So again, role assignment, even in the growth roles, it's incredibly important. Luckily, role assignment for both types of roles, both protection and seller roles, pretty easy and straightforward. Let's talk about protection roles first. From the brand registry homepage, you'd go to the user permission tool under settings, and then you would select the appropriate role that you would like to assign to the, depending on the relationship that you have with the person you're assigning it to. One thing that I do recommend folks do is to take a quarterly look or audit at your roles to make sure they still are appropriately assigned. It ensures, again, that you have the right people in the right place. Next, with selling roles, you'd go to the brand registry homepage again and select Manage Selling Roles from the Manage tab. And again, assign the role based on the relationship that you have with the individual or company that you are looking to assign that role to. But with selling roles, remember that you'll need a merchant token to make sure that that partner account is linked to your brand registry account. Making sure that roles have been assigned properly, and then auditing to make sure on a regular basis that the people or companies that you have assigned still need those selling roles are critical to your control and access to brand registry.
Okay, Ben. So what do you do if you don't have a registered or pending trademark?
Love that question. And
As
so,
a lawyer, I'm sure you do.
I do.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Take it away.
Amazon's IP Accelerator was created for just that purpose. IP Accelerator is meant to help small brand owners and those who either get overwhelmed by the complexity or the cost of trademark application and need a little bit of help. One thing I want to point out is that typically, a trademark application process from the time you file your application to the time your registration files take anywhere from 9 to 12 months or even more, depending on what country you're in. And during that time, your brand is exposed. And so think of this as a preparation period, a time for pouring the foundation for your brand protection. And so what IP Accelerator does is when you leverage IP Accelerator, once that application is filed, we are able to begin protecting your brand the day it's filed, not the day it's registered, saving you months, if not years, of waiting. IPA helps small businesses efficiently obtain IP. It streamlines your enrollment into brand registry, and it jumpstarts your protection in our store. Over the years, since we've launched it, IP Accelerator has helped more than 16,000 brands in over 36 countries get IP protection.
Now let's build on that foundation of protecting our brand. So we've said it a couple times already that protection starts on day one. But what does that mean? Right? It means that upon registering in brand registry, we immediately activate a baseline of automated protections that goes out and proactively identifies and removes infringement from our catalog. And so you can do this, again, with pending or registered. It doesn't matter about your trademark status. These are automatically activated. Now, the thing that we should anchor on, right, is that those automated protections, again, once your trademark is fully established, you're using the tool, you're submitting those NOIs, we're gonna learn those patterns of behavior and we're gonna improve those over time. So it's not a one and done. In fact, last year, our automated protections blocked 99% of suspected infringement before it was even in our catalog. This means that as the brand owner, you didn't have to find anything wrong, didn't have to search for it. We're constantly working on your behalf, and we have advanced computer vision and machine learning models that do this for you on the regular. Ben, you want to talk a little more about some of the tech stuff? I'm going to leave that to you, about what kind of that means.
Great. You leave me, the lawyer, the tech stuff. Okay.
Absolutely.
Also last year, we enhanced our automated protections. We strengthened them by leveraging multimodal machine learning, large language models, MLLMs. That's a mouthful. What that does is it allows us to look at infringement more holistically, right? Instead of looking at the individual aspects of content, what sets this apart is that we can look at all of the aspects, and that whether that's textual portions of the listing, visual portions, pricing, we can take all of that and look at it all at once. And so billions of attempts at manipulating listings, we can look at even the small nuances of that to alert you and ourselves of any nefarious action that's happening in the store. And so that sophisticated process helps our systems learn, and we continue to learn and continue to find new risk signals that we are able to act on proactively, getting better at protecting our customers and our partners, our selling partners. But, Brittany, even though that sounds amazing, it's not foolproof, right? So what happens if you do see something that you think is fishy or IP infringement in the store?
Yeah, it's a good question. And what we really want to talk about is our report a violation tool. And so this is the powerful tool within Brand Registry, and it's your access to send those notices of infringement to us for that evaluation, to feed that automated protection learning to get smarter and target that abuse more specifically. So in the report a violation tool, you can submit trademark, copyright, and patent violations. You can also do your direct searching in the report a violation tool. You don't have to go back outside and then come back in. You can search by text, by image, or you can look up specific ASINs, up to 50 at a time for bulk reporting if that's needed. And you can do all of that within the report a violation tool. What's important is you can also look globally. Now keep in mind, if you do not have an intellectual property right registered in another country, you probably should remove that from your search feature, as we would not be able to enforce a right that you do not own. So it gives you those tools and that flexibility to target in on where you want to be looking, then send us those notices if you do find an infringement in our store. That's
right, Brittany. And so using that report a violation tool effectively is critical to your brand protection strategy. When submitting, what you'll want to do is help us identify quickly what you want us to take a look at. You'll do that by specifying the type of violation. You'll provide relevant details, something like which ASIN, why you believe it's a violation, and where you think that violation occurred in the product detail page. And so we track all of that. And you can take a look, once you file that, at on our homepage or your impact dashboard, and follow along while we review and act on your report. And so that's easily done. And if you somehow made a mistake, you can easily retract that from our homepage. And so you would just go to open details on that particular report and hit retract a complaint. But one thing that's important about that RAV tool is that accurate reporting strengthens our proactive controls. And so I just want to highlight that, right? Your reports are used to help strengthen our proactive controls. That means that we learn when you report. And so, as Brittany mentioned, no one knows your IP or your product more than you do. And so when you alert us that there's some new risk signal or some new abuse, our systems will learn from that and get smarter. And so if you wanted to take a deeper dive on the report a violation tool specifically, I encourage you to attend our Build Your Brand 205 breakout session entitled Report and Protect, Filing Effective IP Infringement Notices. In that session, they will demo the tool and walk you through its use. And so I want to just highlight this again. Every report that you submit, we use to strengthen your brand's individual protection and to really hone in on what needs you have. Think of this as like training a centurion that just gets smarter every time you talk to him, and his armor gets stronger every time you report.
All right, another layer of armor. Good analogy, Ben.
There's all types of armor.
The Amazon Patent Evaluation Express, or APEX for short, is another tool in that arsenal. And this is reserved for US utility patent owners that need a more cost-effective or speedy way to file these disputes. Because traditionally, in legal environments, right, this can cost tens up to hundreds of thousands of dollars and last for years. So APEX is really Amazon's response to that, to make it a more streamlined process for you. A couple key features to note about that. One is that once you submit a suspected utility patent infringement, it goes to a third-party neutral evaluator. Now that neutral evaluator will take a look at it, they'll make a decision, right? And if you are the winning party, it is free for you. What you can do with that decision is you can now take that decision and enforce on a broader set in case there's anybody else that is infringing on that utility patent. And so it's been a really, I think, exciting program for Amazon, and it's been one program that we've gotten a lot of feedback on, and we'd love to hear yours.
Yeah.
As
a former patent litigator, I can't stress enough how much of a benefit this is. As Brittany mentioned, these things can draw out for a long time, and they become incredibly expensive. And for a small business who may be relying on that particular product, it can be a death knell. And so I know my firm counterparts don't want to hear me say this, but Apex is a much better option than hiring an expensive attorney.
Absolutely. And I think the one thing that I think we want to highlight too is that all of this information, all of the analytics and submissions and everything we're talking about in these tools, you can actually view on our Impact dashboard. Right? So the Impact dashboard itself gives you an ability to monitor your brand's automated protections. Right? When we say we're blocking 99% of those suspected IP infringements, you can go figure out what that looks like for your brand. Right? You can see the number of those brands enrolled. You can see the number of those ASINs that have been infringed. And you can also see the number of potentially invalid ASIN creations or attempted modifications of your ASIN that you have not allowed. And so what the Impact dashboard allows you to do is not only see all of that, but filter all of that, right? So it may be helpful for your growth strategy if you can filter by country, you can filter by product type, you can filter by category. Where are these being found in our catalog? And maybe you want to match that with some ad spend, right? Maybe you want to match that and take some of that market share away. They must have had something very exciting. And then hopefully, you'll be able to filter and move that data to a more aggressive spot, and you can also adjust your protection strategy based on what you're seeing. We're gonna fly through these.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip us ahead to our growth tools. And so now that we've covered protection, I wanna explore how we help you grow. So think of these tools as your brand building toolkit, where we give you different solutions that address different needs. And so I'm gonna break those down based on what you use to get to what you want to achieve. So if you're focused on improving your product presentation and conversions, A+ content, it serves as a foundation for your brand story in our store. It helps enhance your product detail page with rich media and comparison charts. Manage your experiments helps you figure out what works with customers. And then there's Vine, which helps you with customer trust in building that through trusted reviewers that will provide genuine feedback about your products. And then when you're ready to drive discovery and reach new customers, sponsored brands and cost per click ads these are exclusive to brands, but they put your product in highly visible placements where customers are actually shopping. Brand analytics will tell you how customers are searching and shopping. It'll help refine your strategy. And then the brand store is a gateway for customers to engage with your brand story. It's your brand's home on Amazon. And so once you have that brand store, what we have found is that customers purchase nearly 50% more frequently and spend about 71% more on average. For building customer loyalty, think subscribe and save. By offering that discount, you're driving repeat customers. And for measuring and optimizing performance, think about brand analytics. It's going to tell you how customers are searching and purchasing. And brand metrics help reach new customers and measure how you're doing on new customers versus existing customers.
Great. Thanks, Ben. Really appreciate it. So I'm going to get us to our QR code because we love your feedback. And then if you do have questions, because I know we went through a lot of content today, and some of it you just saw flash on the slide. So I do want to make sure that you're getting the content you need. So please do visit us at the Partner Connect booth, or our subject matter experts are standing by ready to help you in the Seller Cafe. And as Ben mentioned, we do have a Build Your Brand Session 205, where we're going to get really specific into that report a violation tool and help you navigate some hands-on how-tos and best practices for that tool specifically. So thank you for your attention today.
Absolutely.